a couple different models of game. One is inbound, okay? You have a brand, right? People know of you, you have a social circle, you have a good Instagram with a lot of girls following you. You know, you're posting cool stories, you're posting, good pictures, physique, lifestyle, friends, social proof, stuff like that. And then naturally you start to generate attraction triggers in these girls, whether in person in these social events, you're maybe a contextual alpha, so you're the frat leader, or you're the you're the main guy in the friend group, you're the house party host, stuff like that. So naturally you're just going to have a position of authority and a brand, and you're able to generate inbound through attraction triggers, and these girls are all pre-sold and they self-select. So you essentially, you can be very neutral in your interactions, but ultimately you will start to pick up on indicators of interest, and then you will follow those indicators of interest and pursue things with those girls because they've self-selected themselves. You've already pre-shown these attraction triggers, and so the interest is there. If you were to go hang out with these girls on a day 2 or a date, she is going to be into it. She's going to be into you from the start, type of thing. It's going to be an easy close type of thing. And so you won't have to rely on game as much, right? Now, those are technically yes girls because they're already pre-sold and interested. This is a pretty easy way. It's like farming crops, building a brand, right? Brand is super powerful. And I think this is a great high leverage way to do game. But maybe if you don't have that luxury, or if you just want to learn game in general, those are yes girls, right? And then you also would have no girls. I think it's a little bit more optimistic to see these no girls as maybe girls. And there's a spectrum of maybe. There's a spectrum of maybe where she's like on the edge, but like she just maybe doesn't know quite as much about you, or see your value as much. And so you have to do at least a little bit of something, put in a little bit of work to convert that into a yes, right? Like she's not going to be, super, into you on the date. Like you're actually going to have to display your value in order to, get this going and build a good vibe to get it going. It's not just going to close on its own, okay? Now you also have the maybes where it's like, you're within the realm of being bangable for her, but it's going to be a long shot. You're going to have to really game. You're going to have to, play a long game perhaps, or things like this. So as far as game and the maybe girls, and then all the way on the end of maybe is no, okay? Like she's just like, never, this is never going to happen, right? Those girls you can't do anything about. But so the maybe girls, that's game, right? That's pickup, that's all this stuff, that's all these techniques, and like, thinking really deeply about shit, how to raise girls' attraction towards you. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you can simplify it. You can, for me, when I get too deep into the weeds, it just becomes too much for me. But that being said, eventually you will have to go deeper if you want to truly become an expert. But as far as a simple explanation, guys, it's building a good vibe with the girl and being a high value dude and displaying your value. So if you're in, a group of friends out with this girl and you're just like, a leader of men, you're leading the group, you're making jokes, and she actually finds it funny and she laughs. Now she's like, oh, wow, I laughed, and oh, wow, this guy makes me feel good. And you get into a good conversation with her and it's kind of fun and light and flirty and lighthearted. You're not, super salesy or like, escalating when it's not necessarily there. You're playing a super patient, chill game, and you're just building a good vibe and displaying your value and waiting for those indicators of interest and those green lights to slowly but surely, nudge things forward, right? Because this is a maybe girl. She's not going to escalate on you quite as often as if you were pre-selected, right? If you were that brand that I was talking about, if you're, these guys that are 6'8", whatever, and girls are just, it's completely like mind-blowing how like these hot girls will like be in this complete position of inferiority, but we don't have the luxury. So maybe girls, right? So she's not going to throw herself at you, but by displaying value and pretty much showing that you're a high value dude, building a good vibe. And then, if you wanted to go deeper and be more technical and stuff like that, and again, just to recap, like it's just building a good vibe and displaying your value and escalating slowly but surely when the indicators of interest are there. Because yes, if you escalate too soon, if you, just say like, if you just grab her hips and, pull her close, like, she's gonna be, whoa, and then from there, it's, you got to rebuild the vibe and the trust, the trust of, like, your understanding of where you guys are together has kind of been broken, because she sees you in one way, and, she realizes that you're ahead of her, right, in your interest. So, but if you guys want to get more technical, you could do stuff like the Todd V type of stuff, where you're making her qualify, subtly, right? So, like, yeah, I really love, like, sports, like, I think, like, it's really, it's very admirable when someone is, like, very good at sports. And then just wait for her to see what, well, I actually played volleyball back in the day, so, and now all of a sudden you can be like, huh, well, good for you, that's very cool, like, right, and now you're in this judge chair and she's qualifying to you, right? So you can do stuff like that and kind of bait investment, bait qualifying, right? And now you're putting yourself on this higher leverage position. Other things to convert maybe girls through game, building rapport, qualifying, leaving space for her to come to you, making her laugh, I'm actually still working on some of these deeper level techniques, but I think, guys, you really do need to just max out your attraction triggers, okay? And what are attraction triggers? Pre-selection, social proof. She knows you get girls. She knows you have a lot of friends and you have a lot of options. You're the leader of the group. That's pre-selection. Looks, okay? You need to be a Chad, okay? You need to be, oh my God, when she looks at your physique or your Instagram pictures, she just thinks you're hot. Like, you're freaking him, right? Attraction triggers, looks, pre-selection, success, you're good at what you do, you're competent, competencies, skills, you're sharp, you're intelligent, you're witty, you're funny, right? These more interpersonal, charming type of qualities. What else? Confidence, charisma, stuff like that. Attraction triggers you, right? How do you generate desire, right? Generate an interest, like a girl wanting to be with you, right? And I think really a lot of girls are basic in the sense where, oh, he's hot, oh, he gets a lot of girls, oh, he's really cool, oh, he's like confident and charismatic, and he's like the life of the party, and he's like, the Chad, right? He's the freaking frat president, like he's the man, that's just hot for most girls or whatever, right? So maxing out your masculinity, obviously, as well, and so, yeah, let's start there, guys. Maybe in the channel we'll get to some more deeper level, ninja techniques, like the qualifying and the, different verbal, structures and things like that. It gets a little bit in the weeds, but, guys, ultimately, you can get yes girls by, if you're cold approaching and the girl just looks at you and thinks you're hot without even ever knowing you, and she's kind of she's DTF, that's a yes girl, right? And that's how you can get quick pulls from cold approach, where you didn't display any value, you go up and you guys start making out within a minute or two, and you're pulling pretty quickly, right? That's a yes girl that you stumbled across. But if you in your normal life want to find the yes girls, allow them to self-select by building yourself a brand and by providing avenues for her to self-select. Maybe she likes one of your Instagram stories, and she's kind of like giving you a little signal to get in touch, and you guys can go from there. Or through in-person stuff. So you're doing fun stuff, and maybe you guys chatted about, oh yeah, you should come with us next time, and then maybe 2 weeks later or a week later, you do hit her up and you say, hey, we're going to do this again with a group, you should come through, and you can bring a friend too if you want, whatever. And so now that's kind of an inbound lead, because she expressed interest, and you're providing a call to action pretty much, and she says yes to it because she's seen those pre-attraction triggers. And so, yeah, that's inbound. But for outbound, you are going to have to deal with a lot of maybe girls, and that's where you just need to build a good vibe and be a Chad. You need to be hot, handsome Chad, and you need to, it's a more delicate game. You need to make sure the vibe is just completely intact, and unfortunately, it's going to be tough and more of a long-term game probably to make it a stickier thing. but you just need to be, hot in her eyes and display the value. So I'm losing my voice, so I'll see you guys in the next one.